Welcome to IST official YouTube channel. Today we are discussing about salicylate poisoning. When we talk about salicylate poisoning, we know that salicylate means in common practice it is always aspirin tablets. Aspirin is a drug which is used mainly for cardiac diseases. Very low dose aspirin like 75 mg, 51 mg, 85 mg all are used in acute coronary syndrome and post coronary syndrome patients. Rarely nowadays we use this drug in rheumatic heart disease also. Previously this was very common, rheumatic heart disease was very common, but nowadays rheumatic heart disease incidence is coming down. There also we use aspirin in acute inflammation. And another important product which contains salicylate is oil of wintergreen, that is mainly used for dermal application in painful conditions. Toxicity is very rare when you apply locally, but when you have a inflamed skin, the absorption can be increased. Aspirin poisoning or salicylism is an acute or chronic poisoning of aspirin or other types of salicylates we discussed. So it can be present with an acute overdose, or a chronic cumulative overdose also can present, but we are mainly concerned about acute poisoning. So we can see now the signs and symptoms of aspirin overdose. Aspirin overdose means slightly above the normal therapeutic dose. We are not talking about poisoning now. Whenever we take aspirin in higher doses like acute rheumatic fever, you give very higher doses than routine use. Patient can have abdominal pain, lethargy, tinnitus, dizziness, all these things. These symptoms can be remembered with a mnemonic, that is aspirins. Allergic rashes, urticaria, susceptibility to bleeding, especially GI bleeding, peptic ulcers, chronic use can produce peptic ulcers, idiosyncratic reaction that doesn't depend on the dose of the drug. Patient can have all the features of aspirin toxicity. Reye's syndrome is acute encephalopathy with fatty liver and liver failure, mainly seen in post chickenpox with aspirin usage. Irritation of ears, that is ringing sensation of ears or tinnitus, is very common in higher dose of aspirin. Nephropathy that occurs when you take long-term aspirin, or it can even come as a idiosyncratic reaction with a normal dose. So analgesic nephropathy can occur in any type of analgesics, including aspirin. Seizures can occur in high dose only. Side effects of aspirin can be remembered with this mnemonic, aspirins. Now once the patient take larger doses acutely, they can go for toxicity. Toxicity has got three important phases. Acute aspirin or salicylic overdose or poisoning can cause initial respiratory alkalosis, but ultimately this will lead to metabolic acidosis. So three phases are there. Phase 1 is characterized by hyperventilation because of the direct respiratory center which is present in the medulla of the brain, stimulation of this respiratory center. Potassium and sodium bicarbonate are excreted during this first phase. So patient can have hypokalemia and acidosis because of the loss of potassium and sodium bicarbonate. So phase 1 is characterized by hyperventilation, loss of potassium and sodium bicarbonate. Phase 2 characterized by paradoxic aciduria. Patient will be losing acid through the kidneys. Here also patient will be losing potassium. All these things will be adding to the acidosis. Only initial phase patient can have respiratory alkalosis. Phase 3 is characterized by dehydration, severe hypokalemia and progressive metabolic acidosis. So these are the main phases of aspirin toxicity, but remember, initial phase patient can have respiratory alkalosis. Later patient develops metabolic acidosis due to various causes. Now we will see the clinical features of aspirin toxicity. Initially patient come with hyperventilation. When the patient develop metabolic acidosis, later phase, patient breathing will become more severe, or patient can have tachypnea and hyperventilation worsens. Eventually the patient respiratory muscles are fatigued and patient will not be able to compensate via this hyperventilation and patient's metabolic acidosis also increases without any compensation, without any respiratory compensation. This acidosis will lead to hemodynamic instability, hypotension, shock, end organ damage. Salicylic acid also can produce ketosis, ketoacidosis, hyperpyrexia, hypoglycemia. All these features are there in salicylate poisoning. Renal sodium, potassium and water loss, that is very important. Patient can lose sodium, bicarbonate, potassium and water. All these things can add to patient's clinical condition. Patient will develop severe dehydration because of water loss. Common features of end organ damage in salicylate toxicity include seizures, rhabdomyolysis, you can get an elevated CK, pulmonary edema, patient can have bilateral crepitation with desaturation, cerebral edema, patient can have altered behavior, coma, seizures and renal failure. So all these things are features of acute salicylate poisoning which is not treated. Now we can see according to the level of toxicity, features are classified into mild, moderate and severe. Mild is when the patient takes 150 mg per kg tablet intake and salicylate level will be somewhere around 40 to 80 mg per deciliter. Moderate is 150 to 300 mg per kg tablets when the patient has taken with a salicylate level of 80 to 100 mg per deciliter. Severe is 300 to 500 mg per kg tablet was taken by the patient and the levels will be more than 100 mg per deciliter. According to this severity, patient will have severe symptoms according to this severity. Patients with chronic salicylate toxicity, somebody is taking very higher dose of salicylate continuously, suppose patient is having rheumatoid arthritis, he will be taking aspirin, that is over the counter aspirin for a longer time in higher doses. They will experience similar symptoms in a lower dose. Somebody is chronically on salicylate, acutely, even if they taken a smaller dose, they can have severe symptoms. Pediatric patients will have progress to mild symptom to severe symptoms very fastly and they are more prone for local application induced salicylate toxicity. Now we can see this picture, the different type of acid base disorders you are going to get in salicylate poisoning is aspirin. It stimulates the medullary center in the brain that will produce hyperventilation and respiratory alkalosis. That occurs very early. But metabolic acidosis, there are different causes. In cellular level, mitochondrial level, it can produce lactic acidosis. So that contribute to metabolic acidosis. In renal tissues, it can produce increased renal bicarbonate loss that will produce metabolic acidosis. In tissues, they can produce metabolic acidosis by fat tissues can produce ketone bodies formation and ketoacidosis. So lactic acidosis, renal acidosis and ketoacidosis. All these things will produce metabolic acidosis. Ultimately, patient will have severe metabolic acidosis. This will be initially compensated by the respiratory alkalosis because of hyperventilation. Later, patient will not be able to breathe. The breathing will come down. The acidosis increases. Patient will go to cardiac failure and shock. Now we can see the management of acute salicylate poisoning. Like any other toxicology case, you have to take care of patient's airway, breathing, management, and initial treatment of an acute overdose of salicylate should be by ABC only. It should be followed by gastric decontamination by administering activated charcoal. The mainstay of treatment, or it can be used as an antidote for this salicylate poisoning. There is no specific antidote. This can be considered as an antidote therapy. You can give dextrose water, 5% dextrose should be given continuously to maintain a urine output of 2 to 3 ml per kg per hour. That should be given along with sodium bicarbonate with potassium. So patient should be given a solution of 5% dextrose 1 liter with 350 milliequivalent sodium bicarbonate ampules, that is 150 milliequivalents, and 40 milliequivalents of potassium chloride at 1.5 to 2 times of a maintenance dose of IV fluid. That means you have to maintain a urine output of 2 to 3 ml per kg per hour. Higher urine output is required here. This is a type of alkaline diuresis. We are not forcefully doing it, so it is not forced alkaline diuresis. Alkaline diuresis to maintain a urine output of 2 to 3 ml per kg per hour. If the patient does not respond to your alkaline diuresis, we have to go for dialysis. So remember the medical treatment for salicylate poisoning as DSP, that is dextrose water, sodium bicarbonate and potassium supplement to prevent hypokalemia for a goal of urine output 2 to 3 ml per kg per hour. So you have to give 1 liter of 5% dextrose water, 150 milliequivalents of sodium bicarbonate plus 40 milliequivalents of potassium chloride to maintain a urine output of 2 to 3 ml per kg per hour. So that is very important. If the patient does not respond to your treatment, we have to go for dialysis. You can remember the dialysable drugs by Blistigmus, mnemonic for remembering dialysable drugs. B. Barbiturates, L. Lithium, I. Isoniazid, S. Salicylate, T. Theophylline, Barcaffin, both are methylxanthines, C. Carbamazepine, M. Methanol, metformin, E. Ethylene glycol, S. Sodium valproate. So remember these mnemonics for dialysable toxins or drugs. In that salicylate also there. So whenever patient is not responding to our medical treatment, we have to take the patient for dialysis. So we have discussed about salicylate toxicity and its management. Thank you.